Hi, I'm Eric Tollersrud from Insider Software, and I'm going to talk a little bit about an issue that keeps popping up with people who are new to FontAgent Pro Server, and that is when once they've kind of followed the instructions to upload the fonts to FontAgent Pro Server, and they synchronize with the server just to test that it is connected. They notice that they actually have two different libraries that have the same fonts in it. As you can see here, I have a local My Fonts library and a server My Fonts library. And the question begins, or gets asked, why does this happen? Why do we need duplicate libraries? And the answer is a little bit complicated because it really depends on who you are as the font admin. Some large companies actually have internal IT staff who don't need local or even server libraries on their computers. And then there are some small design shops that, the IT guy is actually a designer, so he does need fonts in his FontAgent Pro client. So let's dive right in and kind of explain what's going on here. So, like I said, as you can see, I have a local FontAgent Pro library, and I basically connected to FontAgent Pro Server, uploaded that library. Here we go. So I uploaded that library to my library and assigned that library to a group that has users in it. And as you can see, I logged in as admin, and I'm a part of this group that gets the My Fonts library. That's why when I synchronized, I got the My Fonts server library here. Now, again, if you are an IT person and you aren't a designer, you don't need these fonts, you actually don't need to be a part of this group. You can actually take you as the admin out of the group. And that would actually get rid of the server library. And to go a little step further, if we get rid of the server library, and you also don't need the local My Fonts library, get rid of that too. There's no need to have there. But if you're a designer, if you are going to be using these fonts, then you have a choice. Do you want to keep the local My Fonts library? Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Do you want to keep the local My Fonts library, or do you want to just have the server set? And that's really up to you. I mean, I personally think that keeping the server library and getting rid of the local one is probably the way to go, because then you know what fonts are on everyone else's computer. So for instance, let's actually take a look at, let's spy on a different computer that's running FontAgent Pro. We're going to call this guy Bill, and I've logged in as Bill and synchronized, and as you can see, he got the My Fonts library, the server library, because that's what that little icon is there. But he obviously doesn't have the local My Fonts library. So again, to recap, if you are a font designer, or I'm sorry, a designer and a font admin, you can get rid of the local My Fonts library when you're done with it. And I'm going to do that right now. Oop, fonts are still active. There we go. We're going to get rid of it. Now, of course, then the question begins, comes up, well, what if I want to add fonts to this server library? And as you may already know, you can't add fonts or delete fonts from a server library directly. So, like for instance, I have a folder of fonts here. Let's say I just try to click and drag and try to drop it on the My Fonts library, it doesn't go. Or if I try to click the Import Fonts button and say Destination Library, it does come up with my fonts, but this isn't the server library. My Fonts is actually sort of a default name. So if I choose My Fonts and then click Import, it's actually going to create, well, it's going to These are bad fonts anyway. There it is. It created a library called My Fonts. So if you're going to add fonts to My Fonts library, this My Fonts server library, you actually have to first import fonts into a local library, then connect to the server. Click on the Libraries tab, click on the Fonts tab, then click the plus button. And that's where I'd be able to select the new library that I created, or would have created, and would have added fonts had I done so. So that is the difference, or that should explain why there's two different libraries after you kind of get all done with, uploading your first set of fonts to FontAgent Pro and then synchronizing down. You as a font admin can decide if you actually want to be a part of the group that gets the fonts or not. A lot of new FontAgent Pro Server admins forget that they don't actually need the server fonts on their computer. So if that's the case, just take yourself out of this group and then resynchronize. And it's going to get rid of, it's going to remove the server library. So that should explain it. Let me know if you have any other questions. My email address is Eric, that's ERIK, @insidersoftware.com. Thank you.